the Daily Ramble podcast.
Hello Hammers fans, David Moyes here and you're watching Claret and Booze. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Those fucking cunts keep putting donkeys on my head.
All right, Dave, calm down. Stop being a donkey then. Welcome to Claret and Booze. It's not a daily ramble. I'm too lazy to change the banners, as you know. So this is a different type of show. It's a mass opinion show. I've reached out to other people, from other channels, other hosts, to give their take on the current situation with David Moyes and David Sullivan. You can go and check in the description of this video. There should be timestamps, so you can skip through to the videos the opinions that you want, effectively. But watch them all; they're all really, really good. So we've got like Hammers Chat, we've got West Ham Irons channel, we've got Fortune Side and Down Under, three Hammers as well as Gary, Micky, and myself at the end. I'm going to give my take on this as well, but I'll go last. Yeah, so no breaking news on this today. This is purely an opinion piece. So if you do enjoy the show, please drop a like on the video. And if you're new around here, please subscribe. All right? I'll see you all shortly.
Evening, Nick. I think ultimately, as far as the board are concerned, we're probably dealing with belief. Now, obviously, there's a perception from the outside, and when I say the outside, anyone that's not the board, that David Moyes is now going to go on a run of games, which is going to see us not qualify for Europe next season. It's going to see this season peter out and be frittered away. I think as far as the board are concerned, they would not have that belief. In fact, they're probably looking at a body of evidence which suggests last time, when people were all on David Moyes' back, actually, he turned things around. He won the European trophy. He got us by the end of the season, and we were sort of free from threat of relegation long before the season ended. So I think it's important to try and understand where the board's thinking is on this, and they will believe that by the end of the season, or within the next few games, David Moyes will have turned it around. However, that doesn't mean that I think there's not negligence on their part. I really do. I must get as frustrated as anybody by this kicking the can down the road and just this whole reset of David Moyes has got 3 or 4 games to save his job. Invariably, because David Moyes is not completely useless. He has managed over 1,000 games. At some point, be it Burnley, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, whoever it is, he will get that win. And it resets itself. I think where the problem lies more with the board is twofold, and I think it's more on transfers in terms of the lack of transfers, but also how the dynamic of the squad and just how lacking in motivation I think so many of the fan base are, and I think quite possibly what a lot of the players are. So maybe, just maybe, the board are not that bothered about European football next season. Well, I'll tell you something, they should be bothered about it because it's worth about 30 million a season. And whilst possibly David Sullivan doesn't care about that sort of thing, there may well be shareholders like Trip Smith, like Daniel Krasinski, who do care about such things. Quite possibly it's a drop in the ocean for them. But European football is important, not just for that extra 30 million on the balance sheet. I think European football is also important for keeping the likes of Lucas Paquetá, who may leave anyway. He's probably only here because he's had his knuckles wrapped on a betting scandal. But it's also for people like Mohamed Kudus. We were always going to struggle to keep hold of him anyway. He's that good. But I do look at him at the moment and think, because of the manager's tactics, because of we only have one playmaker, and when he's not there, the whole attack doesn't function, and there's not much of an attack anyway. I do think without Lucas Paquetá, we play with sort of 8 functional players. I know that's a little bit insulting maybe on players like Emerson, who are a little bit more than that, but 8 functional players or defenders and 2 attackers in Jarrod Bowen, Mohamed Kudus. And I think when Paquetá doesn't play, we don't get the best out of him. So I think it was going to be hard to hold on to him anyway without European football. I think we got next to no chance, and I don't think that's factored in to Sullivan's thinking. So I think he's thinking David Moyes will resurrect it and everything will be fine. I'm not entirely sure that he's going to give him a new contract at the end of the season, but that in itself is not great, because you've got a lame duck. Not in the same way that you've got a lame duck with Jurgen Klopp, because Jurgen Klopp is excelling. He's at the top level, and he's going to leave on his terms. So I think we got a real big problem with that anyway, and I don't think they realise quite how... I guess quite how depressing it must be, and as an attacking player, to play within that system when it doesn't have its playmaker. So I think that's really difficult. as an owner, I would expect them to have assessed that and just, look, they go to every game, right? David Sullivan is up there in the stands at every game. I would have expected, as someone who's been in football for that long, particularly bearing in mind he's placed football people around him, to have looked at the team and thought, oh, okay, we are totally reliant on this one player to create anything to happen for us. So I don't subscribe to this passing of the buck that what happened is Tim Steidten and David Sullivan offered David Moyes all this plethora of players in January, and David Moyes wouldn't take any of them. Then I do believe it basically happened. I believe that happened. But at what point does the owner not stand around and say, no, look, you're going to have to toe the line. Toe the line. You're going to have to toe the line, Moisey. What you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to accept that we've got a director of football in now. If you are going to get a new deal, if you are going to continue, even now for the range of the season, you're not this sort of omnipotent manager in the guise of maybe Fergie was, who you obviously modelled yourself on. You're now a head coach. So we're going to bring the players in and we're going to tell you what to do. And we're not going to, as owners, we're not going to let you run this lopsided squad that you seem to have done now, because that is negligence. What's happened with the squad and the fact that we don't have enough attacking players is negligence on all of their parts, on all of them. And so do I think that David Sullivan is culpable and to blame for a lot of stuff? I really do think he is. I just don't think he believes that over the next 4 games it's going to peter out. I think David Sullivan believes that actually David Moyes will turn it around, that Paquetá comes back, that Antonio comes back, that actually we start winning again. I think he thinks that we'll finish top 7, if that makes any sense at all. And you know what? Maybe we will. Maybe that will happen. What I think he is going to be insulated by was, I think Sullivan's probably thinking, I've seen this before. This has happened before. The fans have got on my back before. The fans have criticised David Moyes. What do they know? They know nothing. And we know that he considers himself to know more, because we've just seen it numerous times over the years. And I think the most annoying thing about it probably is the way he responded to the fans leaving at half-time. It just smacked to somebody that shows no understanding at all. He mentioned that why would they do this? This helps nobody. Like somehow that he's the biggest fan in the world. Look, do you know what? I mean, there's a long way away from me in the stadium. I've never particularly seen what David Sullivan does. Maybe after the chorus of bubbles is finished, David Sullivan's the one within Ansley going, United! I just don't see it. And I don't think he's in any position to really criticise any fans at all. What it showed me was that he was surprised. Maybe he is surprised at the depth of feeling, and he shouldn't be. You know, he stood up in the director's box or sat up there whilst there was a complete mutiny in the stadium in that famous game against Burnley all those years ago. So he, better than anybody, should know what's going to come, what's coming his way if he doesn't rectify this situation. There is a massive unhappiness over David Moyes, and I just think that's the biggest shot across the bows what happened in that stadium, and surely someone of his experience should know it's a very, very short step from fans leaving the stadium and being as disgruntled as they are to the next step, which is probably not going to be particularly palatable for him. Look, David Moyes needs to win the next game. I really do think so. Kicking a can down the road, I've always felt that there comes a point where people lose their anger towards David Moyes because people have already decided he's taken us as far as he can. And then what happens is the focus just moves and goes squarely against the owners. And basically, David Sullivan's up in the crosshairs of the fans. And I just think that's what's going to happen now. Sorry, mate, I've been waffling on for 7 odd minutes. Little brief one. Sorry I couldn't do that for you. But I do think it's complex. I don't think it's a binary problem. I think there's a lot of things wrong at the moment. I really do. But ultimately, is it negligent? Yeah, I think David Sullivan has provided a lot of negligence, has overseen a lot of negligence, and a lot of it on his part. But ultimately, I do not think that he believes that West Ham are going to do badly.
Hi, it's Jazz from the West Ham Irons channel, discussing our favourite subjects at the moment. David Sullivan, David Moyes, the two Davids, the two pricks. Let's start off with David Sullivan and the board and the news circulating around our beloved club that they've given, the wise board have given numpty Moyes 4 games to figure out, is he actually bad or is he not? You've got to be joking, haven't you? They still want 4 games to see what this numpty's about. I think my 3-year-old cat Ruby would know about David Moyes. Does she need to see 4 more games? I don't think so. The transfer winter has shut. We've got no striker. We've got no left winger. That's like trying to run a marathon with one fucking leg. That's not the football I knew. It's not the football that probably people like Bowen or Kudus knew, right? You imagine being Bowen and Kudus as wingers, right? You're told to go down the wing, defend more than that, right? Cross the ball into someone who's not there, or try to cross it and try to get on the end of it if you can. You've got four fullbacks in the team, got 3-4 CDMs in the same team, and they expect the West Ham fan mugs. Well, in my situation, it would have been, 2-hour journey there, 3-hour journey back to watch that fucking mug of football style. Fuck that, mate. I had 3 season tickets. I ain't got none. My son's got one. He didn't even go. I didn't even want to take his ticket to go. You imagine that, West Ham, Arsenal, and I couldn't be bothered to go. That's the situation where we find us. Back to the board. It's a board that's very non-proactive, very reactive, has got no foresight, got no ambition, but most importantly, it doesn't understand the DNA of the club. The DNA of the club, the history of the club, which our fans like us hold dearly. Don't care about any other club. Don't care about people outside West Ham, what they think about us. The usual comments on TalkSport, you know. What more do they want? They're right if they want a league. Fuck you, mate, right? Playing good football. And if that meant losing 1 or 2 more games than we're doing at the moment, then so be it. We've got to play good football on the front foot, attacking football, zippy wingers, good strikers, overlapping fullbacks, playing with width. That is what West Ham is about. I don't care what anyone outside our club thinks. We know this. That is what I take. And this board, usually, have a look at the history. When they brought a manager in, it's usually a manager who's not been in the job. So they've not wanted to pay any compensation for them. People like Sam Allardyce, Pellegrini weren't doing anything, scratching their bollocks, right? Back go down the job centre, that kind of thing. And when they've got rid of a manager, it's been usually in the summer when their contract's up. They don't want to pay any compensation, right? That gives you a very small list to work from. And there's no ambition, no scouting, nothing, right? You got the Brighton manager playing wonderful football. They will never have the ambition or the foresight to get him out of Brighton in the middle of the season, or dare I say it, any time in the season, which is the kind of thing West Ham fans would love. It's a risk, but that's what football's about, right? And 4 games, even if David Moyes wanted to play a slightly attacking style of football, which isn't hard to do, he just doesn't have the players in the squad anymore, right? And I'm going to blame everyone in this. I'm going to blame Sullivan, Moyes and Tim Stighton in this fucking fiasco, how we haven't got a striker or a left winger, right? He can't even change anything even if he wanted to. He played Johnson at left wing, right? And David Moyes, I mean, I wanted him out since September 2022 when we were beating Chelsea 1-0. He made all these defensive subs. We ended up losing 2-1 and I fucking lost my head on my channel anyway, right? And yeah, and really, like you said, it's like writing a season off for the second time in the league. That shows you non-understanding of fans, disregard for the fans' hard-earned money. You know, a lot of us travel. You know, it takes a long time to go and watch West Ham. A lot of us are from outside Essex. Very expensive on the day if you're bringing our children in to watch fucking what, nothing. Yeah, don't forget the history of the club. It was there to provide leisurely facilities for the Thames Iron workers. And then after that, as John Lyle used to say, we have got a duty to entertain the working class, right, on a Saturday back then, right, after their hard-earned money and spent at the ground to watch, put 100% in, try to score a goal or goals, and then you go home happy. 2 things that you put in 100% and you played good football and you entertained the fans. John Lyle he said that's kind of DNA across my heart, and I have to, you know, carry out those duties to perform that task, and that's long forgotten now. Sullivan doesn't give a shit. If you're backing a manager who's playing football like that, it's fucking shocking. And if Sullivan, who's owned a club since the 80s, right, when I was at school, such an experienced club owner, and you got David Moyes, after Hodgson, such an experienced football manager, they don't understand the DNA of the club. You fucking can both go to hell, mate. Seriously. Absolute joke. So in summary, yeah, the board don't understand the DNA of the club. They don't have the foresight. They're very, very reactive. They only go for managers that are sitting on the fence doing nothing. And that's what they do. And then, yeah, write the season off. They don't give a shit. They only care about the season ticket renewal time. Or if someone sort of has a go at Sullivan directly, that's the only thing they care about, really. So, yeah, that's where I stand. Yeah, we're fairly low place. Fucking load of bollocks, mate. Take care.
Hello, guys. How we doing? Welcome to Look at Claret and Booze. A big thank you to the boys at Claret and Booze for inviting me to do one of these short videos. I'll try and keep it as short as possible. It was about my views on the current West Ham situation and where I think it's going. First thing was sort of about the Moyes 4 games thing that we've seen so many times. We've seen it with Allardyce, we've seen it with Slavan Bilic under these boys. It's not a good thing. We know it's sort of set up so that a manager can't foul because of Sullivan not having the bottle to get rid of him. He's always said he very rarely sacks a manager and usually regrets it. We know that Moyes will probably get 1 win in the next 4, and it just keeps us in limbo until the end of the season. If you want to get rid of the man, get rid of him. You know, if you're already having doubts and you have to continuously keep putting Moyes on these 4-game, you know, window, it creates uncertainty, and you just got to imagine what those players are thinking about. Listen, is this bloke going to be our manager? I think even they're done to him with a certain extent. It's just unprofessional. And the problem is, the reason he does that 4-game thing is because they've got no idea who their manager is. West Ham probably should have known that David Moyes would probably see out this season and then get a new manager. Have they realistically got a new manager lined up? I don't know. Maybe Steiden has. But then do you trust David Sullivan to go, OK, Tim, we'll pay that compensation, or OK, Tim, we'll go for your one? Because I don't know, the little man likes to be in control, and I don't know. It just winds me up. The next thing was second season failure. Is it an indication? So last season we finished 14th and won the Europa League, which, again, winning a cup was fantastic. But as we've all discussed, I think any Premier League team that is in that competition should be winning it, barring a bit of a freak season where, you know, a half-decent Italian team or a good standard German team or a La Liga team for win now. A Premier League team should be winning that. Our league form was completely horrendous, and it shouldn't have, you know, been that bad that we end up finishing 14th. This season, again, we're still in the Europa League for how long, who knows. But the season, it starts well. But again, we've all said that it's been very lucky, our results, and things are starting to show through now. And, you know, another couple of bad losses, not even bad losses, just losses. And then we're right down there in 12th, and it becomes a real issue. And again, with the money spent, this is what the pundits continue to say, that West Ham punching above the weights. Are we really? With the amount of money we spent, how big our stadium is, and just what the level of talent and the level of wages that we pay, West Ham should be around the 7th position. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We continuously keep dropping off, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. The last thing they asked me to speak about was the neglect of the board to, you know, not put in a new manager, creating unhappy players, and makes it impossible for a new manager going forward. I totally agree, mate. If West Ham do not get a new manager in and it continues to dither and dither and dither, what messages is this sending to Qatar, Kudus, Bowen? They want to be playing good football as well. I'm sure when when you're a kid growing up, you want to play football, you want to be on the ball. You don't want to be sitting behind the ball and not having the ball for the whole 90 minutes. We need to get a new manager in that allows these boys to express themselves. There's no coincidence that Paquetá, will jump at the chance to leave the club in the summer. And if a good bid comes in for Kudus, he'll want to go as well. It all leads back to this time when we had that window to show Declan Rice what we can do, and we didn't, and that's why he ended up leaving. I'm not saying I want West Ham to go and do a Leeds of 20 years ago when Peter Ridsdale tried to buy the dream and it failed really badly, but we still want to be remaining competitive. The problem with our board is we accept mediocrity. We get to 6 or we get to safe, and that's all right. Stop there, boys. Whoa, stop there, because if West Ham dare get into the Champions League or go on and win a Europa League or an FA Cup final or whatever, we might have to spend more money and the fans will expect more. And it's like, no, stop this mediocrity and stop this little old West Ham mentality. And that does come from the board, not just the media. And really go for it. And hopefully, like I say, this board finally does something right with letting Tim Steidten have the reins. But I very much doubt it. I'm very, very concerned going forward. Until this board go, let's be fair, a lot of it is on David Moyes and the way we play at the moment, in the here and now. But Sullivan and the rest of them are the reason that the way the club is at the moment. Anyway, I've gone on for 5 minutes. I hope that's short enough for you boys and not too long. I can't wait to come on the show live. Congratulations on your 10K and a big thank you for your shout out the other day, because we got 100 subscribers off the back of it. Love you boys. Come on, you heads.
Oi, oi, Claret Bruisers. What do you know? It's Micky here from the Claret Bruise family. Also, what was I going to say? So, right, for me, that 4-game rule thing is bollocks. For me, personally, because he does it a lot. There's always that. I'm bored of it now, to be fair to you. Last season, it was 6 games he's got. Then, on that, he lost 5 and drew 1, but that draw was enough to keep him in it. I fancy us getting at least 1 win, maybe, from the next 4 games. But in all honesty, when you're challenging for the top half of the table or European places, the next 4 games are 4 games that you should be winning anyway. So, was it 3, 6, 9, 12? I think you should be getting. You've got to be looking at least 9 points from the next 4 games. If you're like serious about challenging, but I can't see it. Really can't see it. So that 4-game rule, like I said, it's boring. I'm bored of it. It's just a lot of old fluff and a lot of old talk for some reason. As I said, I think that Sullivan, I think that he might be having his fingers crossed for it, because he's too much of a shitty bum, to be fair to you. To say like, you know, like he don't want to upset the media of like Sky Sports and Talk Sport and all that, yeah. He don't want to look like a bad person. So the narrative will be, if he was to be sacked and that, even if he don't get a renewed contract, the narrative will be to say, look, your fans, you got what you wanted. And that now, he'll blame us. But you know what, I'll take the blame. Put all the blame on me personally. I wouldn't give a fuck, as long as he's out the door. Look, Moyes has given us moments which I'm grateful for. Of course I am grateful for. He's done the job that he's meant to do. Like I said, he ain't pull up no trees for the amount of money he spent. So yeah, the 4-game rule is just all bollocks for me. What was the other question? Do we think that they're just happy to sort of let the season slide out and whittle down? Yeah, I do believe that. I think they done it last year when we was challenging for top 4. And we didn't get the signings that we should have got, but you know, they don't think they care, and they've done it again this season. In fact, they've made our squad weaker than anything, getting players in positions we don't need, letting players in the positions that we do, they needed to go. You know, whether you think that they was good players and they done all right for us or not, they was players that were needed. They were squad players. We're still in Europe for now. So yeah, I just think that this season's dead now. As sad as it sounds, there's no excitement there for me at the moment. We whimpered out of them 2 cups. Then bad times at West Ham, and it shouldn't be. Do you know what I mean? We're sitting 8th or something, and we're still in the next round of Europe. Should be good, but it's just, don't know. Anyway, look, listen, I hope for good times, boss. You can see it's all fluffy. It ain't damn rough, I promise you. Anyway, go on, you lads.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Claret and Boozers. Morning from down under. Yeah, just a little video that you've asked me to do. So for me, this is a complete and utter incompetence of the board and David Moyes. First of all, it does stop with the board. we've started a process now with getting the director of football in, where we wanted to build upon that and become something a little bit more proper and a much better run club, and as a football team as well. So getting a director of football in, you've got to trust the process. And unfortunately, when we've got a manager in place that isn't playing ball with that director of football, as we know it, as we can see that, but not only is David Moyes not playing ball, David Sullivan isn't playing ball either. And the reason for that, and what we all saw with the Osman deal, is the fact that Tim Starton identified a player and said that he's going to be the mustard, he's going to be the next best thing. And then obviously Brighton have swooped in and taken him. We were on a trajectory to become a Brentford, a Brighton, a Moneyball team, where we was going to go out and identify these players with the director of football and be able to sell them on as assets. That's the way we should have been starting that signing. Unfortunately, didn't come off. Brighton nicked in and they took that player off us. So that's my first thing with the director of football and everything like that. I think it's a shame, because we should trust the process, and David Sullivan needs to trust that process as well. In terms of the season so far, let's look back at last season. So last season, we had a terrible run in the league, and there was one saving grace, which was the Europa Conference League. Not many teams wouldn't have gone as far as what we did in that competition. We had one of the most, well, we had the most expensive squad in that competition. We should be winning it. It was a failure if we didn't. It was a great night, great moment for all of us. But I've always said with Moyes, he's a great moments manager. For me, watching the football is dire. I'm not interested in it. I find it very hard to watch it, especially being over here. It is very hard to get up and watch it on TV at 1 a.m. I wouldn't stick the Antiques Roadshow on at 1 a.m, but that's how it's starting to feel. That would actually be more exciting than watching that at the moment. There's no plan B when it comes to the football. We're playing a counter-attacking way of play without counter-attacking players. It doesn't make sense. So in terms of burning the season for me would be to keep this man in charge. We are seeing the same thing week in, week out with the football. It needs to change. There's going to be no change because he doesn't change. So we do need to act now. Let's not burn this season. Let's get someone in. I'm sure a director of football of Tim Starton's caliber has got someone in the wings, and if he hasn't, then he's not the right man for it either. But I've got the trust and faith in him that he's got someone there for us, and I'm hoping that with all these names being banded around at the moment, it's one of them, because I think anyone can do a better job than him at the moment. Moyes is definitely playing on that European trophy win. Needs to stop. I'm sick of hearing it. Even on Sunday, after the game, what do we hear? Same old thing. Little old West Ham. This is what... They've never had it so good. We actually have. We've watched better football than this. It needs to improve. And unfortunately for David Moyes, where you ain't got a plan B, sorry, mate, Premier League football's definitely moved on. And it's time for you to move on now as well. 4-game review. For me, this has just gone on and on and on. I don't really believe it because it hasn't happened yet. So how do we know if it's even a thing? And if it is a thing, it's a stupid way of looking at business. Because all you're doing, you're seeing your assets fall down. David Sullivan is a money man. We've seen that. He doesn't care about what we think as fans or what we want to see as a football team. He just sees money. Surely he's astute enough to see that his money is depreciating on a weekly basis. We've just seen it with Fornals, 28-year-old man, gone over to Real Betis. He's going to pull up trees again. You watch, guaranteed. Ben Rama, scathing attack on the manager. He's gone out, lost money on him as well. We're losing money left, right and centre. And it's because of one man, David Moyes. So for me, Moyes has to go now. he needs to act on this now, Mr. Sullivan. And yeah, for me, I'm ready and raring to see a change. Anything new for me. Anyway, cheer up, Claret and Boozers from down under. Cheers.
Right, some excellent points made by everyone there. I'm sure you'll agree. And there's a common theme, and it's all kind of rooting back to David Sullivan. Nothing is going to detract away from the awful job that David Moyes is doing and has done. You know, he's overachieved for his ability, really, but only in part. You know, there's a lot of damage that's been done to this squad. When you hear the news that's broken today about Lucas Paqueta, who has apparently joined the host of players that are rumoured to be demanding a route out of the team, that's to add to the people that have already gone before him. You know, people will say, "Oh, we've got a small squad." That means you've got what first team players? We know Aguirre, so we know Paqueta now. Who else? Kudus, Alvarez, have they been added to that list? This goes back to what I was mentioning yesterday. The longer you run this situation, the more damage is done. Sullivan, you cannot sit on your hands anymore. You can't. It's damaging the team. You're risking fucking everything up. Everything. We've got a really, really rare chance of progression and moving on and going in the right direction. And what you're doing is completely and utterly ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's no explanation for it from a business point of view, from a football point of view. There is nothing apart from the fact that you're dithering, you're stuck, you don't know what to do, you don't want to make a mistake. Well, doing nothing is making a mistake. You're alienating players, you're alienating fans. It looks like you're alienating our new director of football, who should be the foundation of everything we build our club upon moving forwards. You've got a professional in place. Give him the tools, let him run his job, let him do his job. That in turn makes you look good. Give people power. Delegate to people that are better than you. That's what leaders do. You go out and you employ people that have got better skill sets than you. That's what you've done. But it looks like you're trying to reel a little bit of power back in. What is it? Because Tim got a little bit of attention. The fans like him. They sing his name. No one's ever going to sing your name, mate. Don't worry about it. Don't matter what you do. Just run this club properly, or sell up and fuck off. Preferably, the majority of us fans would prefer you went anyway. But I tell you what, if you do get this wrong, you keep him here till the end of the season. What is this 4-game rule all about, honestly? He had 3 games last season. We had the Aston Villa game, we had the Everton game, we had the Fulham game, and we've arrived back at the same point. We've been terrible in the league for 2 years. The Sky Sports report, the debrief. Finally, somebody, mainstream media, have got hold of this, looked into it a little bit deeper, and they've completely exposed this situation. We've been lucky. We've lucked out. The purple patch was the start of this season where we were defying all odds and all data and getting results that we did not deserve with the way that we was playing. But as I've already said, results will catch up to performances, and they are. This is not a blip. The 35-game relegation season last year was not a blip. The more players he buys, the more he gets his hands all over this team, the more shit we get. And the only thing giving us any credibility at the moment for the second season running, after crashing out embarrassingly in 2 domestic cups, is a European competition. But as I've said in the Twitter post, it's a competition this year. There is competition in the Europa. There just is. So what are you rolling the dice? Are you hoping to do the same again? Because it wasn't masterful what you did last year, sticking with him. It was fucking idiotic, and you lucked out. Well, I say you lucked out. We were the favourites to win that competition. You know? Just do what needs to be done and stop fucking around. Please. Please. We're all going to come for you. If it goes wrong. Okay? Okay, look, that's it from me. I don't want to make this video any longer than what it is. I'm sure you've all heard my take on this anyway. So, yeah, one more thing, one bit of news. Apparently, Lucas Paqueta is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So, that's the next 5 games that you're looking at there. So, you're looking at Nottingham Forest, you're looking at Burnley, Everton, Brentford, Newcastle. Without Lucas Paqueta, without his get-out-of-jail card. How do you think he's going to do? Because in the corresponding fixtures last year, we didn't do too well. And that was with Declan Rice and Lucas Paqueta. So what are you going to do? Are you literally just going to allow this season to completely burn? So it's fucked. so that there is nothing more to play for before you get rid of him? I think you probably are, because I think you are a pathetic, pathetic fucking man. A pathetic leader, a narcissist that just wants to be right. Just get out. Oh, get out of my club. Anyway, look, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this show. Thanks to everyone that sent their videos in. And go and give them all a subscribe as well. Because, like I say, it takes a lot to stick your head above the parapet and do this sort of thing. So well done to all those that have done it. Speak to you all soon. Gavin, you heads.